fam. Welcome to another episode of Good, Bad, and Ugly about real estate. I got a great guest for you, another new friend of mine, Mr. Nicholas Nick. Whoa. How are you doing, Nick?
I'm great, Jose. How about yourself, man?
I'm doing great. I get to spend at least like the next hour with you, so life is good.
Doesn't get any better than that.
No, me and Mick just met right before this podcast. I was complimenting him on his background. That is actually his wall. That is not a virtual background. So
yeah, it's a real thing.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So Nick, share everybody, who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So my name's Nicholas Nick. That is actually my full name. I have not changed it. I was also born that way. A lot of people, A, don't believe it, or B, they think I've changed it, somewhere along the way. I was given a great marketing name from birth. So it'd only be natural that I succeed in marketing. It's like a Bible tale. I often say my life reminds me of like a Bible story. Like, when you're going through life, you feel like you're struggling and you're struggling and you're struggling. And then one day you use all those struggles and you realize that they're gifts, right? And that's my story is so much like that, but I've been very lucky. I own a 7-figure real estate investing company. We do over $1.5 million a year in sales, and that's not real estate deals. That is lead gen packages that I sell. What we do in a nutshell is I can pull a list in any market in America. I get their phone numbers. I cold call them with American or foreign callers. I have both to choose from. And then we also text message them. So it's like a done for you package. There's no subscriptions. There's no monthly fees. There's no contracts, nothing like that. So you can really come and go as you please with our services. And that's very unique to the industry. So that's kind of where I cut my teeth. I started this business about 8 years ago, which is a really long time. I feel like a dinosaur in this industry at, 8, we're going to hit the 9-year mark like next month.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, thank you. It's crazy. It's crazy that I've almost been doing this specifically for a decade. A lot less wrinkles over on the face whenever I started. I look
straight hairs, like
yeah. I look back and I'm like, oh my God, like I've become a man, while really running this. I feel like a boy, in my earlier years and stepping out of my 9 to 5. But yeah, so my journey's been really cool. I'm a blue collar guy. I worked in restaurants from ages 16 to 30. So I've got this really unique experience. I don't come at things like an executive. I don't have like this real estate background. So a lot of people like what I have to say because it's all routed in customer service rather than most people they're routed in sales. Right. And my whole situation, my entire teaching is based off of creating a great experience to put your leads through. Right. What sounds like a no-brainer after you say it out loud. Yeah, I want a great experience to put my leads through. Duh. Right.
Yeah.
But, so often what the average investor tries to do is they try to give themselves a great experience, right, at the cost of the lead. And so I like roll out the red carpet for my leads and I try to give them an amazing experience. And in turn, we get great deals and we get people that feel great about it too, right? We don't want to get and make a lot of profits and have a seller that hates us at the end of the transaction. We want someone out there saying good things about us after they leave our presence. So I have this really cool approach, and that all came from my restaurant days. The restaurant industry was very intense. I work 70 hours a week. I've cleaned up messes that only parents should have to clean up after their children. I've been a lot of poop and throw up and all kinds of stuff from strangers in my life. Right. It's like, and I know that's gross and it was gross for me to experience, but it is a part of, who else is going to do it? Someone throws up in a restaurant, I was the manager. And one of my rules is the uglier the job, the more it is for me. Right.
Sure.
So like if someone did something that had to be cleaned and it wasn't a common issue, then I would clean it rather than getting my busboy or my dishwasher to clean it, and also my theory was, I need my dishwasher to stay in dish because he's going to be here till 2:00 in the morning. I don't need him for 15 minutes to do this gross thing. I'll do the gross thing for 15 minutes and because otherwise he might quit.
Exactly.
And then I'm doing dishes till 2 and 3 in the morning. So a lot of subtle lessons like that is what the restaurant industry taught me,
Right.
being a great leader, doing the hard job so my employees can do their jobs, right? They need to do the jobs they were hired for. I'll take the curveballs is really kind of one of my philosophies. So that was amazing. So I did restaurants forever till I was 30. When I finally left, I knew I was superior, right? Like I could just tell by the way I was leading the team and some of the other managers around me weren't as good. And I realized I was carrying like way too much weight, like, smartest guy in the room syndrome,
Right.
except I'm 30 years old and it's, you shouldn't be, and I'm not the guy, my ego likes being the smartest guy in the room. Right.
Sure.
My pocketbook does not.
Right.
It feels great for your ego, but it really isn't. Like you're not going to make more money if you're the smartest guy in the room. Often you're probably the highest paid guy in the room too. And I only made $65,000 a year. That was the peak I made at 13 years experience working 70 hours a week. I mean, that's not. I remember back in the time I was like, oh, that's a lot of money. And it was for me. Right. Now, I made that in 2 weeks last month. Right. So it's like, it's a little different now to realize I was like, damn, I worked so hard. But that was another lesson. Right. So the other lesson that came out of that was I'm not scared of shit. Pun intended, figurative shit or literal shit,
I love it.
But I'm a very tenacious person, and that's what also makes me a great lead generator. So anyways, I left that career behind. I knew I was exceptional. I knew that I was performing higher than my industry. Right. And I was like, let me get out of here, and I quit restaurants. I vowed never to return. Okay. And I found a job throwing events for a real estate education company. I had no idea what real estate was. I've been flipping burgers for 13 years, right? I had no idea flipping houses was a thing, right? My parents never owned rental property. They never flipped a house. Every place they lived for 30 years. So all I knew is real estate's where we live, right? So my mind was, I'm like, what? What's going on here? We got rent, tenants, and we were selling mentorship for $30,000, right? Okay. So I went from serving $9 hamburgers to serving $30,000 education programs, right? And that was also like, again, everything in a restaurant's under $20 for the most part. Right. Now I'm like, how much money did these? I had someone yell at me for a $5 hamburger 2 months ago. What the hell are we doing here? So my mind's expanding. It's blowing up. I can't believe all the stuff we got going on. And I start throwing events. I'm in a whole new industry. Within 10 months, I get 3 promotions and I become an executive at this education company. Now, keep in mind, I still didn't know real estate, but I knew leadership, project management, and customer service. Right. And that really is, I realized in this career that leadership is so fundamental. Like it doesn't matter what give me some of the basis points, and then my experience will take over the rest. Right. Sure. What do you do? How do you do it? How can we do it better? Right. So just having this attitude. So now I'm an executive in a whole new field, and it goes really well. But the downside was I came from restaurants, right? And there's like the culture in a restaurant is much different from a culture in an office. And I didn't get along very well with the other executives because I don't know how to play with office politics, right?
Sure.
I know how to play restaurant politics, which is there are none. We all speak shit to each other's face, and it's very blue collar. Right? No one's pulling punches. We don't make enough to beat around the bush in a restaurant.
There you go.
Anyways, so I worked at this company for a while, and they only taught direct mail. Okay. And direct mail is great when it works and expensive when it doesn't. Right.
Yep.
And these new clients would sign up with us. They'd give us $30,000. And I'll never forget this woman. She called me up crying one day and she said, Nick, I just sent out a $5,000 campaign and the phone didn't even ring once. You know, and I'm devastated. She's like, I'm like, holy, like, that's not good for either one of us. You know, I mean, this isn't good. So, and we had no other options for new students coming in or new clients. And I remember just thinking like, what's free? What's free? You know, we gotta offer something for free. It can't just be direct mail or nothing. Right.
Right.
And again, not an investor. I looked down at my phone. I'm like, well, you know, we're already paying Verizon. We're already paying AT&T. Maybe I'll just teach them to call all the leads instead of mail them. And it's exactly what we did. We changed everything from mailing to calling. Unless they had the money, they're welcome to mail, right? Sure. But if you don't have the money, hey, you're calling, baby. Right. And you're already paying AT&T, so that bill's paid for. You know, and it totally took off. Students are closing deals. Everyone's happy. They're not spending any money. They're learning faster because cold calling is really just the art of repetitions, right? You're doing it so often, you get so good and so confident so fast. So it was perfect. It was a great silver bullet. Totally changed that company and their trajectory. And then when my time came to an end there, I knew cold calling worked. So I went home and I started cold calling every day. And then before I knew it, I was searching for my first real estate deal. And I'm calling for 3-6 months. I have hundreds of leads. I'm killing it on the leads. I'm not a big closer. Remember, I'm service. I'm not sales, right? I bring you the burger. I don't sell you the burger, you know? Yep. And so again, I bring the leads. I don't close the leads, you know? And I didn't close a lot of deals, but what happened was people started asking me to call for them, you know? And this was about 8.5, 9 years ago, nearly now. And I got my first 3 clients just because they saw that I was cold calling. They said they were too busy. They knew that I'd stepped down on responsibilities at my other job. And they're like, could I pay you to call for me? Could I pay you to call for me? And before I knew it, this company was born. And, you know, and it was a perfect accident and it couldn't happen any other way now.
That is a great story, man. I love it.
It's long.
No, I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah,
I mean, long stories mean that you're surviving the the choices that you made and still moving forward. So that is awesome. So you went from being an executive and basically learning how to cold call. You know, there's people that are watching this and like say, I hate cold calling. Yeah, you know, you get cursed out. You get how'd you get my number? You know, all kinds of different things. So can you share with people how you take that bruntness and then provide them that fine lead on a plate?
Yeah. And that's a great question, because if you listen to my story and even go back, I was like, well, I'm not scared of anything. Right. So at the time when I was cold calling from the house, I've never cold called before. Even when I was telling people to cold call at that education company, I had never cold called. So when I went home and did it for myself, it was my first time. And so as I was running into obstacles, I started creating all these solutions. You know, how'd you get my number? Right. Oh, you know, well, actually, I pulled a list of people in the area, and sometimes those people have phone numbers next to their names. You know, and you know, people started receiving that. Oh, great answer. You know, and I'm just trying to sound like the innocent dummy. Yeah. Right. Like, I don't know, dude. I got name, address, phone number. Figure I'd give you a call. You know. Yeah. And I always be very friendly. So I started overcoming all these objections, and it was my restaurant career that prepared me for that. You know, having people yell in my face. I'll tell you, someone yelling at you over the phone ain't shit compared to someone yelling at you face to face. Okay. So I had a bunch of those experiences. You know, I've been writing up and firing and having uncomfortable conversations for over a decade. So this was really like a walk in the park. So, what you mentioned was handling the brunt of it. I basically systematized all this. So when I was doing the cold calls, I'd come up with all these solutions. I called for 3 months before I picked up my first customer. Right. And getting sworn at, having people being grumpy towards you, how to turn them around, how to get them to take my phone number down, right? Sure. There's so much that I mastered in this period of time. And I remember I asked myself, I said, Nick, if you're this new at this and already doing this good, you can scale this idea.
For sure.
You know? And then to summarize some of the pain we take away, right? Because that's really what hiring me is, right? Is you're taking away the pain of having to do it yourself. Let's go over a couple things. Number one, a lot of people forget how much a list costs. Okay. List could be like 10 cents per record. So when you give someone 10,000 records, that's $1,000 at 10 cents per record. A lot of people don't realize that math. That's $1,000 a month. We haven't even done anything yet. Okay. We just got a list, right? You know? So, and then, you know, some people want to stick a $5 an hour VA on it. And let me tell you a newsflash for you guys. Yeah, I know we often think, oh, they're only $5 an hour. That's another $1,000 a month. Okay. You know, a lot of people forget that. $5 an hour at 40 hours is $200. There's like 4.3 weeks in a month. We're talking $890 a month are going to a cold caller now full time. We're at $1,900 between those two expenses, the list and the caller, right? The next part is the dialer. What dialing software are you going to use? A lot of them have annual contracts. You know, we use Call Tools. They have an annual contract, right? So, you know, now you're committed for a year. So like when you think of using us, you don't worry about any of that. You don't worry about where your caller's coming from. I have my average employee's been with me for over 4.5 years right now. And so you get, when you hire us, you get a ton of firepower. There's no, hey, I got a new client, I got to hire a new employee. Everyone's already with us, fully trained, ready to go. Right. They use our systems, our dialers, our scripts. Okay. And then our leads also get sent directly into your CRM. And the most important piece about the whole thing that we take off is the management. Right. Anyone who's managed their own cold callers knows they got to wake up. Is everyone working today? You know, you don't know if they're showing up. Hey, you know what? They could be clocking in and not dialing too. Right. Now you have to hold them accountable. I think the biggest piece of leadership almost everyone misses out on is accountability.
Totally agree.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, I told them to do it. Yeah. Well, did you check to see if they were doing it after you told them to do it? Right. And, you know, from my restaurant career, the reason why they didn't like me in corporate was because I held everyone accountable, you know?
Exactly.
People in an office don't like that shit. Right. Mm-hmm. And they're like, hey, I'm going to shut my office door. You leave me alone. It's going to be 5. I'm going to go home. Okay. You know, don't talk to me. You know, in restaurants, there's no doors. The only door is the bathroom door. All right? So you're not hiding behind anything, you know? So I'm really good at holding my employees accountable, holding them to a standard, and then really, really allowing them to blossom. And I'll just give one example on why you'd rather have me managing my employees than doing it yourself. So one metric I have at my company is called leads per hour. Okay. So how many leads did this employee generate? How many hours did they work? And I take the leads, I divide them by the hours. This gives me that employee's actual performance. Now I have 15 cold callers, maybe 15 to 19 between my two teams, foreign team, American team. So when you just check one person's results, it doesn't tell you that much. But when you have 19 people's results laid out, oh, wow, this person's killing it. Wow, that person's fired. Oh my God. This person's not even trying. What's happening? So the cool thing about tracking numbers is singularly, they often don't mean anything. But when you have a lot of data or a lot of people to feed off of, I now know who's the best. I know who's the worst. I know who should be my trainer. I know who should be fired, right? So a couple things I do is I track their performance on a very micro basis. Okay. I have a minimum standard for all of my employees to even work on the team. If my Americans don't generate 1 lead per 2 hours, they cannot work for me. If my foreign team does not generate 1 lead per 3 hours, they cannot work for me. Okay. And I track these stats. And so these are some of the expert training you get when you hire someone like me and you outsource it. You don't have to come up with these systems or enforce them. It's not easy saying, hey, Sally, look, I know you're making $5 an hour, but that call just stunk. Okay.
Right.
Like, you're hard to understand. I could tell you that you weren't reading the script. You didn't have the notes up. I'm doing or have already done. I don't have to do it too much now, but I've already done all that with my whole staff. I've chiseled them into greatness by tracking these KPIs. So I try to remind you when they hire us, they're not just outsourcing their team like, oh, good luck. They're literally hiring like Olympic level trained cold callers, right? Because they actually follow all these systems.
Nice. So, I'm sitting here listening to you. I was like, this guy is a rock star. He knows what he's talking about. Do you invest in real estate yourself now that you know how real estate works, or do you just focus on providing people the tools to invest?
So I'm going to go a little deeper here than I probably should, but just a month ago, I started pursuing my own leads, right?
Okay.
Now, the thing about me is, I'm pretty successful, and success definitely makes you lazy, right? So I haven't really had the desire to be in real estate too much because I'm making great money through lead mining. However, one thing I've learned about achieving a lot of success is when it only comes from one area. When you are very successful, it gets scary.
Okay.
Right? Like if I make $1 million a year only through stocks. Okay. Well, what happens when something happens in the stock market, right? well, right. What happens when X happens? So it's like now where I'm at is I'm looking to diversify, right? I don't just want to make $1 million a year through lead gen. I want to make $1 million a year through somewhere else. Now,
Right.
I do believe real estate is the fastest and best way to generate instant wealth and long-term wealth, right? I wholeheartedly believe that. So I just started investing 2 months ago, but what I've done, I know my weaknesses. I'm a leader now. I'm not in the trenches anymore. So I've got an acquisition manager and a dispo manager, and I have my company generating the leads, and I'm just holding them accountable. Hey, how'd the calls go? Talk to me. I'm kind of like their coach that's like paying for leads. So that's kind of been a little exciting for me, but it has taken 8 years. And, the realization that, after 8 years, my company is very stable. I can now divert my attention a little bit and focus on acquisitions and dispositions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll talk after this. I might help you with some of that dispo and
yeah, please do.
ways to diversify that your portfolio.
Yeah.
So what would be one thing if there was somebody watching this and like, this sounds too good to be true? How would you try to, I don't want to say convince them, but share with them that it's low threat? Because you mentioned that earlier, right?
Yeah.
How do you get them through that threshold? Say, just give us a try. If you like it, great. If you don't, great. How would you talk to somebody about who's on the fence right now?
That's a great question. So I haven't even told you all the other amazing things that we offer. That really makes it too good to be true. But right. I want us all to think about my restaurant story, how it's my job to serve you to death. Right. So, a couple of things that are completely free that anyone watching can go check out right now. So I recommend going to my website, leadminingpros.com. I have a link at the top that says free REI courses. I have 9 courses, all completely free. Land investing, house investing, acquisitions courses. Since I've been in this industry for now 12 years, 9 owning lead mining, 3 before that in education, right? I don't want people to come to my business and buy leads and not know what they're supposed to do with them. Again, It's not, hey, good luck out there. It's, hey, I've been doing this forever. Here's the script. I literally give my customers this. Here, you got a lead. Here's what you're going to say right here. It's on this piece of paper. It's all free. You could actually get it right now without even giving me $1. So it does get better. So I would say, don't give me any of your money until you think I've earned it by showing you, like, go watch my courses. My cell phone number's on the website. You can call me directly. I do not want, anyone who, what's unique about us is I don't even have that much of a follow-up system. I do not shove my services down anyone's throat. I tell them what we do. Hey, if you're interested, we're right here. Here's my cell phone. Call me anytime, right? You're not going to get text messages and phone calls and emails. And I do send one text 2 days later and make one phone call 5 days later. Other than that, you're never going to hear from me again. And I do that because I kind of have like a little bit of a confidence. And I don't want anyone to buy my service because I was good at coercing them into buying it, if that makes sense. I want them to be like, wow, the courses, and I also offer one-on-one calls to all my clients too. Oh, the courses, the one-on-ones and the leads, and I'm my own sales guy. So if you book a call, you talk to me, I help you pick the package out, so kind of by the time you get there, you're like, wow, this just makes sense. So what I would say is, hey, check out my stuff, feel free. I got a lot of content out there. And I think that you're really going to like not only what I say, but how simple. I think my real skill, Jose, is I make wholesaling seem simple.
Right.
And I remember one of my courses, I had a customer watch it, and she watched it and she goes, oh, I can fire my VA now. And what she was actually saying was, I hired a VA to do something I didn't want to do and I don't know how to do.
Right.
And your course just made it make sense. I don't need her to do it anymore because I now know how simple that was. I was making it difficult. So I decided to pay someone $5 an hour to do it. Right. And I think that that's like kind of my real skill set as you like approach my business. Like, oh, this is just simple. It just makes sense.
Awesome. So the title of my podcast is The Good, Bad, and Ugly, right?
Yeah.
And in real estate and in business in general, I mean, you kind of shared a little bit of the restaurant ugly piece, but can you share with us maybe a positive story, maybe some feedback you got from somebody using your services, and then maybe it doesn't have to be tied to your services, but a negative or a learning lesson. I was like, failure is a failure. Failure is a lesson to be learned.
Opportunity. Yeah.
Exactly. An opportunity to get to success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you share a couple stories with us?
Yeah. Just the success, I would say breaking the barriers of having a mindset that like you're worth more. Like for 13 years, I had my boss determining my salary. Right. And, some people still might not get this yet, but when they close their first deal or second or third, like they'll begin to understand. Before I knew it, I was in control of my pay raise. My first year in business, we did $600,000 in sales. My next year, I did $780,000 in sales. My next year, I did $950,000. Within 2 years, I had a $250,000 raise I gave myself, right? That doesn't happen in any career, ever. And then, so like my mind is like getting blown on opportunities and how I limited myself and all this other stuff. So I would say the good is coming from, all of the success and then seeing all of our accidental and completely understandable self-limiting beliefs. Right? Sure. I see how they were created. My dad was a hard worker. He was a 9-to-5er. I became a hard worker. I was a 9-to-5er. And I think we should all have an amazing 9-to-5 story. Like, I just want to I never once will you hear me demonize a 9-to-5 worker or someone who has a day job. I personally think it's our job to learn on our employer's dime. Okay. Great. If I didn't have 13 years restaurant management, I would have failed at lead mining. But because I had 13 years in the restaurants and I started this business, I was able to just get an ace in the hole every time. If I had to learn my customer service lessons while owning this business, it would have been a very expensive. I'd be out of business 100%. Right. So learn as much as you can from your day job, but breaking down the barriers of money and income and all that other stuff really kind of blew my mind. And I kind of felt like Neo walking around the Matrix. And I'm like, don't you guys see it? And that's why sometimes you see videos from Grant Cardone or Gary Vee or something, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. But sometimes when you're through the other side, you can see how and I don't want to use the word brainwash because that's too excessive, but how programmed we are to be. And I'll tell you, money is so important. Money is what this whole world runs off of. Right. And now, and the goal is to get to a point where I think we can choose maybe less money or more time, right? And that's really like I think that's financial freedom, right? like now I want to choose time, and I can because I'll still have the money because of what I already did. So, I feel like the good comes from the path of entrepreneurship, understanding that other people put a worth on you. Yep. And that you believed that worth. And then as you unbelieve that worth, you realize how unlimited like your potential really is. Like I don't want to say anymore because I'm going to be like sound weird, but you really do have unlimited potential. You just have to realize that you yourself are unlimited, and we are so used to limiting ourselves. So I think that's the good.
I love that insight. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I've never said that before out loud. So, that's why I like the Going On podcast, because I always answer it fresh. I don't have like queued up responses, right?
Perfect. Love it.
The next thing is the bad. I think that it is shocking. So the bad is, again, it's an emotional bad.
Sure.
I think it is shocking how many people quit when they actually get what they're looking for. Okay. Yeah. So this is a recent epiphany. This hit me this last weekend. Okay. So when I was younger and a restaurant manager, I went in my boss's office several times and I was like, you give me a promotion, you son of a bitch. Right. Like, I'm like I'm working my ass off. Like, we do have to take what's ours a little bit in this world. Right. No one's just going to be like, oh, that guy working, he's dying to be a manager. Let's go ask him if he wants to run this place. No.
Right.
Okay. I was always up my boss's ass. I want the promotion. I want this. I want that. So, and then a lot of my bosses said yes to me. So they took a chance on me. Right. Now, what I try to do is I take chances on people all the time.
Right.
Okay, all the time. I just told you I hired a dispo and an acquisition manager. That's me taking a chance on 2 people. I'm funding the leads. I'm coaching them. I'm doing the consulting. I'm taking a chance. But I love that shit. I love it. Now, what I've learned about people, and this is the bad, and it's only bad because I'm so disappointed sometimes in people. Okay. Yeah. I can't tell you how many people be like, Nick, I want to do this. Can we do it? Yes. Yes, let's do it. Me and you. Let's go, bro. Let's do it. I won't hear from that person for 2 months.
Wow.
They dodge my calls. It's almost like they were expecting me to say no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, you got it. Whatever you asked for. I'm your genie, dude. We're doing it. And they're like, oh. And I could, and I'm not judging. I'm not judging, but I could tell. I know what happens.
Yep.
God, I wasn't expecting him to say yes.
Fear of success.
Yeah, man. I don't know if I can. Now, what if Nick gets disappointed in me? What if I don't live up to my expectation? What do we dude? Just do it. Just right. I tell people all the time, because at Lead Mining with our cold callers, I'm always hiring, right? And if you're a great cold caller, I'll just fire my worst cold caller. Even if I don't need you, right. If you're amazing, I take my bottom one. I already told you, I grade them, and hey, see you later. We got a great one in, right? But I tell everyone, like, hey, I'm going to give you this job, but if you don't want a cold call, don't start acting weird. Like, don't think that, oh, Nick took a chance on me and now look, if it doesn't work out, I tell this to everyone. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Let's not get weird. Okay. Like, I'm super successful, so I'm not depending on you for anything, but I'm going to be here for you. But so it's like, and I try to just remind them because I guess the word might be shame.
Sure.
Right? They want to protect themselves from the shame, so they don't even try in the first place. I think that's really probably what the whole lesson is broken down. And guys, I can tell you that I don't give a fuck if you fail in front of me. Right. What I give about is that you quit in front of me. Okay. fail all you. Dude, I failed so much. Okay. And I'm still failing. You know, my wife said this amazing thing to me the other day, and I was doing something and I got rejected. And I was like, and it hurt my feelings. Right.
Yeah.
And I said, God, this guy, I said I want to be a partner with him, and he turned me down. And she goes, Nick, I wouldn't even have put myself out there in the first place. So,
Right.
And I didn't even see it like that. I'm like, oh shit. Like, and she goes, be thankful you're the kind of person that puts yourself out there. Yeah, you're going to get rejected. But you know what? How many people don't even put themselves in a position to be rejected? And the thing is, my confidence is so high and distorted sometimes. I don't even see rejection as happening. And that's why when it does, maybe it frustrates me, because like I didn't project a rejection, right?
Yeah.
But you know, I will say to everyone watching, when someone says yes to your idea, man, run with it. And don't worry about everything else. You know, I've funded people's ideas. I've worked with them, especially if I know and love and care about you. You know, I want to do whatever I can to make you successful and be a part of that story. Like I'm kind of, yeah. So I'll just say that I hate it when I say yes to the bad and summary is when I say yes to people's ideas and then they give up on themselves before we even start. You know, and right now I'm working on how to like protect against that, because if I say yes, I want to go there too. I'm not just saying yes for you. I want to explore that land. Yeah. And right. And I also want to build, if I say yes to someone, that also means I want to focus on my relationship with that person too. So like, I want to see where our relationship goes as well as a result, you know? Yeah. So it's interesting.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So you brought a lot of value to everybody who's watching this. If somebody want to bring value to you, or maybe just follow you, see how lead mining is going, or you know, follow up from this podcast and say, you know what, I like Nick. He's no bullshit type of guy. I'm gonna take that chance. I want to work with him. I want to take advantage. How can they do that? How can somebody either bring more value to you, or at least start taking that advantage of lead mining?
Yeah, so I would say, so the cool thing about me is everything's on my website. What I would really advise them to do is follow me on Facebook. I'm a real hoot on Facebook. Jose, I'm sure we'll be friends on Facebook after this if we're not already. But I'm just like, I'm very candid today. I'm very candid on my Facebook. I talk about all of it. It's also a lot of real estate oriented stuff. But if you go to my website, leadminingpros.com, my cell phone number's on there, and B, there's a button at the top that says follow me on Facebook as well. So you can click that. That's my personal page. That's not my business page. Okay. And reach out. You know, I will say this to everyone, just call me or book a call. Both options are on the website. I had a person book a call the other day and go, Nick, you know, I'm not really ready to purchase. I shouldn't have booked this call. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, and again, that's the restaurant manager in me, right? These aren't sales calls. These are get to know you calls. Like, I don't even know if my product, you could say things and I say my product's not even right for you. Like, we don't even know. But so I share all that to say, I just like meeting potential clients or people in the industry. So you can call me and pick my brain. You can call me and talk to me. You can call me and ask about my courses. You know, it doesn't have to be, I'm ready to buy. So just feel free to start a relationship with me is just, you know, what I would say. And, you know, whatever will come out of that.
Awesome. And just as always, guys, his links will be in the description, so you can click on it. Don't have to go searching for it. I'll make it nice and easy for you. If you don't like YouTube, this is where this is going to be. But I'll have it on Spotify. Like and subscribe so that more people can see this and take benefits of it. Nick, thanks so much for spending your time with me today. I loved every minute of it. I hope that I can bring more value to you by people watching this and them taking a chance on you and your product. And if you don't like cold calling, you got Nick. Nick will do it for you. He's serving it up on a silver platter for you.
That's right.
All you have to do is take action on those leads that he's providing for you.
Yes,
so on that note, Thanks everybody for coming out. Nick, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you on the next one, guys.
Thank you, brother. See you.